go ahead and get started here. It's about 6:05. Thank you all for joining us for our emerging security technology webinar. We have brought in some experts to talk about different aspects of the different types of tools that university could employ. We're hoping to help supplement their force at UCPD based upon, the numbers. They were roughly in the 80s, several years ago, and they've crept down in how many officers they've had on the department. I think their goal is 55, and they're in the high 40s, near 50 right now, that they're trying to help. Lieutenant, maybe you could speak to that real quickly.
Yeah, sure. Last I heard, and again, we're constantly going through different cycles of retirements and new hires. Last I heard, we were 2 away from our goals as far as positions, but that obviously we think is going to change in the next couple of months due to retirement. So we're kind of still getting to where we need to be.
And the final number is what?
I'm trying to find that out right now.
Okay. So this is a really broad-based type of group of experts that we brought in to help provide the different types of tools, like I said, using video analytics or even drones. This may help in like stay away orders for individuals that have been asked to stay away from the university or non-affiliates, vehicle thefts or mobility thefts, which is very high on the university, trying to, like I said, utilize technology to help the department tamp down these or mitigate these types of crimes that the university, tends to lead the nation in crime rate. And we're hoping the #1 university cannot be the #1 university in crime rate. That's our goal. So Joel Kisner is here. He's with Pinnacle Consulting Advisors, and I'm going to give it over to him, and he's going to help lead us through this presentation.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you all for this opportunity. Quickly, a little bit about me and my company. I began my law enforcement career in 1990 in California. I moved to Vegas in '94, where I joined Las Vegas Metro. I worked state, local, and international and federal investigations over the course of my career, patrol academy, field training. And from '98 forward, I specifically worked in crimes against persons, 5 years on a federal task force involving crimes using technology, and taught investigative procedures related to technology investigations for the Department of Justice. And I retired out of homicide in 2017. Really, the purpose of this meeting and the purpose of my business is, over my career, I saw the evolution of crime and technology, and the kind of folks not really understanding how to bring the two together to actually be a value add. The significant problem that I had back in my day was spending days, weeks going through video and images trying to find the needle in a stack of needles. And it spent a lot of time. It could be traumatic depending on what you're looking at. And it really, that battle fighting against time to try and make sure what you're trying to mitigate or trying to solve can be done more quickly, more timely, and more safely is the goal that I have with what I'm doing in this business and these partners of mine that I brought into this presentation. Think of it everything from like a car without a license plate, looking for a particular piece of clothing, shoes, a backpack, potentially looking for unique tattoos, being able to identify not just suspects, but identify witnesses, additional victims, or trying to find people that you need to bring services to who are kind of potentially hard to locate, or some of the use examples for some of these technologies that I'm going to kind of have introduced to you today with partners I brought. So I just want to make sure that as you're looking at this, take a look at it from a standpoint of events you've been involved in life where something like this could have made it easier, more quick for you or somebody else to get help and have an actual value add in trying to, like Steve said, drive down UC Berkeley from being near the top in crime stats to improve the status of of the college, but also the safety for not only staff, but students. So before I take up too much time, I'm going to introduce you to Duran Kemple. He's the founder of Bond. I've known Duran since 2017, worked with him on certain parts of the business he has currently. It's a very unique platform, and it offers a good, secure way to have not only staff, but the students and others that are within that sphere of UC Berkeley, additional safety. So with that, Duran, if you want to go ahead and continue, I'll hand it off to you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Can you see my presentation, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Terrific. So thank you for your time. First, I'd like to thank everybody for everything that you do. We have people in law enforcement, other volunteers. In the 12 minutes that are afforded to me, and Joel, if you'd be so kind to let me know 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, and the countdown so I stay on time, I will not be able to get into the details that allow me to get the customers below on the bottom of the screen to decide to have Bond available to tens of thousands of their employees. What I'll try and do is introduce myself very quickly, introduce the company. The name of the company is Our Bond with you, with the authorities, with the mission of increasing personal security, but also peace of mind. I'll try and give you a sense of what's the problem, and I'll define the problem because the problem is not obvious. And relative to the problem, I'll explain what is the unique Bond solution. I'll speak very quickly out of respect for your time. And Joel, you let me know if there's interest, and I'm happy to spend as much time as is required to address questions. Quickly about me. I founded the company in 2017. Up until then, I spent 30 years in information technology infrastructure. I was a founder and CEO of 2 companies. Before that, I was VP and General Manager at EMC Corporation, the world's largest data management, data storage, data protection company, now part of Dell. Earlier in life, Deputy Commander, Military Special Operations Unit. I have familiarity with security at the national level, at the personal level, hostage rescue situations, and I know how to develop technologies. This is me, and more importantly, these are some of the security advisors that have been kind enough to guide Bond together with Joel over the course of the last 7.5 years. This is former head of U.S. Secret Service, Deputy Director of the FBI, former heads of police of New York, France, Seattle, Boston, Miami, Northern Ireland. You get the picture. As we continue, I'd like to speak about the problem. I'll stop sharing and I'll speak to you as humans. All of us on this call, but if we take an empathetic step backwards, let's think across the genders and across the age groups. All of us routinely find ourselves in situations that make us feel uncomfortable and sometimes even unsafe. Typically falls into 3 categories of situations. Think if that's relevant for the students, our sons, our daughters, staff members, faculty members. Category number 1, we walk alone at night. 40% of Americans, the situation is worse in Europe. 40% of Americans, 45% of women, 35% of men. That's 140 million Americans. It probably includes all of the students in UC Berkeley. Say that they don't feel safe walking alone at night. I'm not saying that they're safe or not safe. I'm just saying that they don't feel safe. 140 million Americans. If each one of them feels that way only once per week, you multiply 52 weeks by 140 million, that's 7.28 billion cases per year. Let's take one of those cases. Let's assume that we have a daughter or a son in UC Berkeley. Let's assume that once or twice per week, they walk out of some campus or out of some restaurant, and they decide to walk to where they park their car or to some public transportation. Maybe they get on the BART. I don't know. As they leave the building that they're in, or as they leave the campus, they immediately feel less secure if it's 6 p.m. But it's too early for them to dial 911, right? 911 is for emergencies. That's not a complaint. That's a matter of fact. Too early to dial 911. They have a different problem, which is not an emergency. They have a peace of mind problem. They have a problem. We have a problem. If in the parking garage, my daughter Rachel finds out that the wrong person is approaching her, when does she notice him? When he's 2 cars away? What's the closing time? 3 seconds? That was 3 seconds. Bruce, does she complete a 911 call? She does not. Nicola, Do you think that she is able to pull a panic button and push the right button in 3 seconds? 20-year-old Rachel? No. How do we know that? Because according to the Bureau of Justice, 500,000 women are raped every year in the United States. Sorry for sharing the statistics. Not attempted rape, rape. That's the size of Malta. What I just described is something that nobody likes to talk about, and that's a recurring pattern. Too early to dial 911? In seconds, it becomes too late to dial 911. That pattern of a problem repeats itself in category number 2, alone in the vicinity of a stranger. Who's alone in the vicinity of the stranger? Other than our students in Uber, or maybe our students meeting somebody for a date, maybe it's a first date, he's still a stranger. But other than that, across the United States, less relevant to us, there are real estate agents, home care nurses, social workers, all of us who work from home, who delivers our lunch, a stranger, etc. Take a guess. How many emergency 911 calls every month in the United States from passengers of Uber or Lyft? 60,000. Out of those 60,000 emergency calls, how many do you think are emergencies that 911 is going to help with? 0.8%, which is 500. What happens to the other 59,500 every month? 911 legitimately and politely tells them, this is not an emergency, you got to get off the line. But here's the point. Why did they dial 911 if they're not an emergency? Because humans, like our children, like our teachers, like everybody, when they feel unsafe, they don't want to be alone. Is there anywhere in the world a service that makes the following claim? In all situations that are pre-911, if you're in an emergency, dial 911. But if you're not in an emergency and you want to feel and be safer, reach out to us. A, we will preserve your privacy 100%. Doesn't matter if Apple pays or Walmart pays or UC Berkeley pays. Doesn't matter who pays. We take care of you. Whatever happens between you and us stays between you and us. Privacy preserved. Number 2, when you want us to, and only when you want us to, we look after you. Using artificial intelligence and our personal security agents, not bots, humans, we can detect that something is anomalous, something is out of the ordinary. And then we engage to make sure that Rachel is okay. If she's not, we'll calm her down. We can guide her. We can deter unwanted company. Let's put a circle around that. That's not at all clear. I'll explain it momentarily. And anywhere in the United States and now in 28 countries in which we offer service, just in case our student fly to Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, and other countries, we know how to pinpoint the local police responders, first responders, and help orchestrate them to help our sons, daughter, parents, doesn't really matter. Is there such a platform in the world? Of course there isn't. That's why we've established Bond. I'll get to that in a moment. And then the third category is all of us relative to our children when they're not under our supervision, we're all a little worried. So what do we do today other than talk to them? We download one of about 50 free apps, panic buttons, location trackers. Now I can see where my son is. The bandit, 16, is out of school, probably didn't do his homework. I call him, he doesn't respond. I'm 40 minutes away. What do I do now? This is not a 911 emergency. Again, no solution. Across these 3 categories, over 10 billion cases per year in the United States. Too early to dial 911? Within seconds, some of them become too late to dial 911. That's the problem. If the problem is clear, I'll switch to the solution. Everybody okay with me switching to the solution? I apologize for the speed and the directness. Solution. What we've established is exactly that platform that I described. An ability to allow everybody that we care about to tap on this new paradigm, new tier of pre-emergency preventative personal security. In order to build all of that, so we can preserve privacy, detect, engage, calm down, guide, deter, orchestrate first responders, we invested $100 million. This platform is alive since 2019. We've handled more than 1.25 million service requests, including about 10,000 emergencies and life-saving situations. The heart of the service is not the technology. These are our personal security agents. These are men and women whom we recruit, background check, and train. We train them on 911 techniques, and then we train them on our services. At this point in time, you're probably assuming that we're either a panic button on steroids or a location tracker. No, we developed 14 services. These services are available on the phones of our children and parents And our security agents in our command centers around the world respond in 4 or 5 seconds. Think about that for a second. 4 or 5 seconds. They respond via the bond service that you see on my phone right now. Now, there are 14 different services, but what distinguishes bond from any other services are the preventative security services. These are these services right here. So Rachel is not in an emergency. If she's in an emergency, she could click the SOS. That'll connect her to local SOS. But right now, she's coming out of a library, and she wants somebody to look after her. She can choose any one of those services like Track Me on the Go, or Ready an Agent for Me, or Video Monitor Me.
Thank you for connecting with Bond. This is Aaron. What's the situation?
Hey, Aaron, thank you for responding so quickly. I'm safe. I'm just demonstrating to a few people from UC Berkeley. I'm going to introduce you to Joel. You don't need to deter Joel. He's a former police officer. Just say hi, Joel. He's on Zoom. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Go ahead. Joel, one of our agents.
No,
Aaron, I'm safe. Can I disconnect?
you can, and thank you for choosing Bond. We're here for you 24/7.
Thank you very much. Disconnecting. So our daughter is about to leave the library or the restaurant where she met somebody or whatever the situation is. She chose Video Monitor Me that you can see right here. Within 4 or 5 seconds, an empathetic bond security agent who is trained in the command center, suit, headset with other agents, asks Rachel, Rachel, what's the situation? Rachel says, oh, everything is okay. Do you mind walking me to the BART station? This is the most natural request. The agent says, of course, that's my job. Anything in particular worries you, Rachel? She says, no, he walks with her, a personal security companion. Now, you might say, okay, this enhances peace of mind, but what if somebody approaches Rachel? The agents are trained and tested every week on their ability to get the Rachels of the world out of the situation. Rachel, step back into the building, step into the CVS, lock yourself in the car. But if we can't get Rachel out of the situation, let's think tactically. Who's most likely approaching Rachel? Male, opportunistic, wants to survive, doesn't approach Joel. That's not a good target. Also doesn't want any eyewitnesses. Categorically, where there are cameras, there is less or no crime. They want to stay free. Even if it's crime of hate or a hate crime, they want to stay free. What do? We bring a witness. The agent will say to Rachel, Rachel, I'm by your side. I need you to stop and gently turn your phone screen towards the approaching stranger. Let me speak with him. And to the stranger, sir, this is a live video recorded call. I'm a security agent of the firm Bond. The lady or the gentleman feel uncomfortable. You don't need to help me. I'll handle the situation. Have a good evening. We don't blame him. We don't agitate him. We give him a diplomatic out. Now, Bruce is probably saying, Doron, this sounds great. In theory, what happens in real life? In real life, we've handled more than 200,000 Video Monitor Me sessions. Out of them, only in about 250 cases did we have to deter. Why not in all others? Because in most cases, Rachel is not at risk. She just doesn't want to be alone, which is completely legitimate. Then there are probably cases where somebody would have approached her, but at that particular point, he sees that she's on video, she becomes a less attractive target, and as a result, he leaves. In all 250 cases, we were able to deter. There was no violence relative to our members. In short, there are many other services, but let me just summarize as follows because my 12 minutes are up. This is a proven service that establishes a new paradigm of preventative personal security and peace of mind, where we are a security companion of sorts for anybody that you choose. We preserve their privacy, we can detect, we can engage, we can give the police situational awareness of the situation when they're not aware, and we don't just protect them when they're next to the blue lights, because most cases, that's not where the crimes occur. Thank you for your time. I think that my 12 minutes are up. I'm happy to take questions. Joel and Steve, please guide me.
We're going to do questions at the end, Doron, just to kind of preserve time. So just so everyone's kind of aware, the reason I picked Bond first is because it flows in, it can take pictures, take audio, take video, and that enhances now the next part where we're talking about the analytics, real-time or near real-time information, because now you have a force multiplier of the cameras, potentially cameras for witnesses, not even necessarily the person in danger, but these additional cameras and additional evidence that analytics would find valuable. And with that, there's a company called SecureOS. Dennis Connor and his team are here. And I worked with them this year along with Deja Vu, which will be following, at the F1 or Formula One event in Las Vegas. And we operated on some 8 different mobile platforms. SecureOS has some extensive experience. They operate and manage a safe city in Mexico City, managing somewhere over 60,000 cameras. So Dennis, if you'll go on and take on the live analytics side and some of the solutions that you have.
Absolutely. What we're going to do first, guys, is use our time wisely here for 12 minutes again. Brian's going to go first, and then I'm going to just wrap it up at the end. Okay. Brian's one of my directors here. Go ahead.
Perfect. I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen if I may.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, we can see it.
Perfect. All right. My name is Brian Friedman. I'm the director for the West for ISS. I recently came on board to this company, although I've been in the industry 30 plus years. And the reason I joined, and this is important to you as well, we are very innovative. And obviously Joel has a relationship with us. And the reason we're innovative, 50 plus analytics. And what this enables you to do is be proactive with your video. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next slide here. So just a quick review about ISS. We were founded back in 1996, over 29 years ago. One of the founders of facial recognition, license plate recognition. And what that means to you is that we have tons of knowledge, tons of development into our product. We are a US-based company out of New Jersey and Florida as well. We have 40 plus patents, close to 50 now. Like I said, developed facial and LPR way back, 600 plus employees and 200 plus engineers. And we have deployments in over 56 countries, 100,000 plus servers on 300,000 projects or so. So obviously we're a well-established company. A little bit about what we do. So first of all, we are agnostic on the camera side, meaning that that huge investment you have into your existing infrastructure and cameras, we can use that. Obviously, you've invested quite a bit with that. We are able to use that infrastructure and attach our analytics to that. And we're going to dive into that a little bit. But what we can do here at ISS is bring in your existing security cameras. We can do things like bringing in your man guards and be proactive with that. We can do things like add safety. So if you had some construction going on, we can bring that in as well as bring in that data and give you reports on situations as well. We can also bring it to SecureOS, basically everything that you have on site, including SCADA systems, building automation, fire alarms as well. We can capture license plates. We can give you alerts on all different types of behavior, from gunshot detection, from vehicles going the wrong way. And we'll dive into more of that as well. So this just gives you an idea of everything we can bring into your SecureOS ISS solution. So this is what we do. We are able to bring analytics into our system. You can see there on the left, we are bringing in people doing vandalism or graffiti on the wall. And the question is, what do you do with that information, right? And what we do is we'll bring it into a command center or be proactive with your team in dispatching the police. You can send alerts to your phones, however you want to handle that information as well. These are just a few of the analytics we have that can be attached to the system. And what, like Joel was saying initially, this enables you to be proactive with your solution. You have all that great video out there and people watching it, but this enables you to react to that video quickly to have a response. So things like fallen person. So if a person falls, someone's fighting, someone pulls out a gun, you have to identify that gun. Intrusion detection, someone breaks into a store, someone goes through a toll undetected, or someone runs through a turnstile. License plates, loitering, if someone's staying in an area too long, obviously you want to know about that. Object left behind, and this is important to a large scale deployment. You know, what's that suitcase doing there? What's that backpack doing there? And you want to know about it. Pedestrian safety. Is someone lingering in the middle of an intersection? People occupancy counting. So you want to know when people are in a certain area too long, how many people are in that area. We also do smoke, vape detection as well, vandalism like we talked about. We also have the ability to scan under vehicles as well and look for guns, explosives as well. So obviously quite an array of analytics that can give you out those proactive alerts. This is what's called our tracking kit, and I'll kind of walk you through this as well. This enables you to put 10 different analytics on any camera at any specific time. So again, giving those proactive alerts from crowd detection, from that object left behind to that loitering, and giving you those alerts. So again, you are expanding your existing deployment and giving you those alerts where you can actively respond to those alerts. And that's obviously very important, right? So these are just a few of the analytics we have. Yeah, sorry. And then the question is, what do you do with that information as well? So here you can see we have somebody getting a slip and fall. This can go to your dispatch center. You know, if someone brings a case against Berkeley, UC Berkeley, that you're actually going to catch that video, right? And it's going to be proactive. Someone can't come to you and say like, oh, I slipped and fell. You're going to get that proactive alert as well. And then on the right side here, again, gunshot detection is very important. We're able to search for rifles and pistols as well. So it's identifying that person with the rifle, and you get those proactive alerts so you can dispatch the police on-prem. Just a couple more analytics here, then we'll have Dennis dive into another great feature we have. And on the left here, we're showing loitering. So again, if someone's going to break into a car, you could set a dwell time for the alert. That person's going to be in that area and dispatch on that as well. And on the right side here, again, this is a big one where we get an alert. Someone draws the gun, person puts his hands up, and again, it triggers an alert of some kind to your command center. And this is, I believe we tested this in Vegas at the F1 event as well. We also have drone capabilities as well, where we can have our analytics based on the drone, identifying faces, doing auto tracking, really deploying any of our analytics on the drones themselves. And with that being said, Dennis, I'll let you dive into Soffit.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Soffit. Let me share my screen now, if you don't mind. Send request. Okay. Share my screen. Sorry, guys. Okay. I have to hit the share button. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Just let me know when.
Not yet. There you go.
Okay. So folks, I'm showing you our website. One of the reasons I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to, especially the UC Berkeley folks, we have a very innovative solution. It's the only one in the world. It's called the SecureOS Soffit. Again, SecureOS is our platform that we've built all the AI and video intelligence on. The Soffit itself is a very unique product that basically illuminates pedestrians in crosswalks. This is part of our Safer City initiatives that we have engaged with a lot of universities and campuses across the country, as well as police departments and municipalities. So what you're seeing here is, I'm just going to walk you through. This will be very informal. Basically, it's a camera, a camera with our AI loaded onto it, and a very unique illuminator. This illuminator can actually illuminate up to 8 zones, pedestrians. It will detect a pedestrian. It won't, and it's also, let me just back up a second. It is a standalone unit. So a lot of the cities and such have security requirements and so forth. You can actually deploy this on any light pole in a city. We are now deploying this right now at San Antonio, in their safe cities, as well as we have this up in Tesla right now. So Tesla is actually deploying our Soffit, this Soffit, especially in the areas where it's very dark at night. They work 24/7 at Tesla out in Fremont, and they have the parking lot. They have a crosswalk actually coming out of their facility that actually comes across a very heavily, well, it's actually the driveway, the roadway for their trucks or semi trucks, right? Pedestrians are walking out, the workers are walking out to get to their break area as well as their parking lot. So they've had a couple near misses, and they actually found us and actually said, "Hey, we really like your solution." So we have this up at their facility right now, going through, and their executives really like it. Let me show you what it actually does. Okay. From a perspective, what it does is it lights the pedestrian as they walk across the crosswalk. And we have studies that show that it will improve the illumination of that pedestrian and actually reduce the reaction time by upwards of a couple seconds by just illuminating. All safety solutions out there basically use beacons with yield signs. They call RRFBs. People have to hit the button. Just worked with T-Mobile this past year, where we integrated that system into our soffit. So even during the day, when it's working and it's daylight, right? No need for the light, it actually will activate. And if a person, especially a student, right, and that's the reason why I want to bring this to you guys. If a student is actually on their phone and they're crossing the crosswalk and not paying attention, which happens quite a lot in this day and age, right? It will actually illuminate. It will actually turn on the lights for them during the day, and at night it'll turn on the lights as well as illuminate them, and they'll know that they're being lit up as they're walking across. So it takes away the necessity for somebody to hit the button, and also for the accident where they don't hit the button, they're not paying attention, they just walk into the crosswalk. I'll show you what it looks like for a second here so you can see. This is what it looks like. This is what the unit looks like. Very well lit, 8 zones. As you can watch this video, you can see how they're being tracked as they walk across. And there's 8 different zones. It'll pick up everyone in every direction. Now, we've had a lot of universities come to us and ask us this past year, because we introduced this past year, about using it on their campus, especially in areas such as heavily trafficked areas, such as stadiums, the areas around the stadiums where there's a lot of accidents and people walking out at night, especially, and also at the fraternity row, where there's always parties on the weekends and stuff, and the students are not really paying attention. They may not be 100% focused, and they walk across the street, and there have been some accidents. All right. So we basically don't grab faces. We're looking for humans in this. Our AI is tailored to do that. So from a security perspective, we don't grab faces and stuff. We're only looking for human bodies, and our AI detects it and will travel with the student. And that's basically all I want to present to you guys. Happy to discuss this with anyone here. And I welcome the questions later on. Okay, guys, that's our presentation.
Thank you, Dennis. Just real quick as we kind of move in, one thing that's different between SecureOS and Deja Vu, SecureOS largely uses machine learning or object recognition types of artificial intelligence. That means that image of a backpack or that image of a firearm or whatever it might be has to be in that database, or the activities have to be trained into the model. And that's what traditional artificial intelligence technologies utilize. Deja Vu is a little bit different. I met them when I was doing some work related to human trafficking, and we were looking at ways to quickly match tattoos. And when I found them, it blew me out of the water. Think of it as a Venn diagram. There are gaps that LPR, license plate recognition, or object recognition have. And it's specifically that. LPR, if there's a scrolled emblem on a door, or there's glare on the license plate, it's not going to be able to necessarily recognize all of those letters. And sometimes it gets it wrong, or sometimes it doesn't get it at all, and it's really hard to search. Deja Vu looks at everything as a pattern. And for those gaps, it lays over the object recognition or the machine learning analytics and covers that, so that if you have a car without a license plate, or let's say you have a burglary suspect who has a unique backpack or a unique hat or unique shoes, you can start tracking those not only from a live analytics, if it's integrated into that kind of a platform. But post analytics, you have an event that happens and you need to figure out, where did this person come from? And where do I need to start kind of assimilating how I'm going to investigate this? You can very quickly tell, these are the cameras and these are the areas that that person came from and where they went. So with that, Johnny Kessler is co-founder of Deja Vu. He's going to get on with his team. I believe you're actually in the Bay Area and talking from your car. So I'll let you have your 10 minutes or so to present what you guys do.
And I'm gonna hand it over to Jeff Benson. We're sitting next to each other here, but he's gonna take over and he's gonna show you what we do.
Hey guys, Jeff Benson here from Deja Vu AI, and we got a real tight timeline, so I am going to not explain a lot of the technicalities, and we can cover that if anybody's really interested in it. Basically, what this does is see a pattern in an image and then find that pattern in vast data sets of images. And since videos are simply a series of images, that works on video as well. Our analytic is a pattern matching algorithm. It is not a machine learning model. It doesn't object classify, so it doesn't know that there's a person. It doesn't know that there's a face. It's not doing facial recognition. So here we've got a really messed up picture of Tim and Demi Tebow. All of the transformations to an image that can be done to defeat a facial or an AI image search have been done to this, including the digi pattern that defeats facial cameras. And I'm going to ask our algorithm to show me anywhere that that pattern, because it only sees a pattern, anywhere that pattern shows up in my data set. This data set I'm showing you has about 20,000, a little more than 20,000 images and video frames. And that fast, it went through all of that data and told me that these frames all contain at least some of that pattern I asked it to find. And then when that compute was happening, while it was digesting that image, every return that it gives me, it shows me why. It's explainable and deterministic in its answer that the thing I asked it to find exists in the other image here. And like I said, it's not a facial recognition. It just sees a pattern. It found the faces pattern in those other images. Another key feature of this is that once it has seen anything, it will remember it. I can look for anything inside of that. So I said, okay, that's great. It returned this. I didn't even know that this mattered to me, is interesting, but I want to see everywhere that Run the Race shows up. It's not reading the text. It doesn't do optical character recognition, but text is a pattern too. So ready, go. Show me everywhere that that exists in my data set. And that fast, it tells me that this pattern exists in all of these frames, even when it's not fully present. It can be obscured by something else and still show up as a partial pattern match. And if your image quality is good enough, it can do that down to as little as 0.5% of an image. Even when they're hanging off the edge. We have enough overlap there, which that's probably about 2% of the image, showing that allows me to see that is present in the other one. Why does this matter to you guys? I can take a person. If you've got a cell phone and you open your Photos app and you touch a person in your app, it's running a thing called the segment anything model, which will take an object and remove the background from it. So I can take a person that I'm looking for and I want to find in my data set, and maybe your data set is, say, thousands of cameras across campus, and you know something happened during a particular period of time, but not exactly where it happened, but you have an idea of who might have done it. Like, here's a guy without a face. How do I find that guy? Well, I feed all of that camera footage to the algorithm and I say, show me where that guy shows up. And then no matter what frame he appears in, whatever sensor captured him, it's going to show me this is a fun match. This was at that Formula One race. That's a camera pole that's about 400 feet away from me. That's me in the picture. And it still captures me. We've got a tougher one with a harder pattern. This guy's shirt, one of our other guys. We took pictures of ourselves in the parking garage from different angles so that we could search. and then said, show me where those show up in all of the cameras that we had access to, and across all of those various platforms, we're able to pick up with high confidence that these exist. And I'll show you what I mean by confidence. You can see here in the return that I got, this is 94% confident that the image I asked it to find, the pattern in this image, exists in this image with a 0-degree angle of rotation and a 3.6 scale variation from the first to the second picture. It's explainable, deterministic, and that's a statistical heuristic score, not pixels matched. It's not doing a vector-based pixel match. It is telling me that the pattern exists in the other. And like Joel was saying, you might have an instance with a vehicle, maybe a hit and run, maybe somebody was seen getting into a vehicle and then we haven't seen them again, and we don't have a license plate, but we might have a picture of a dent in that car or a scratch or a bumper sticker or whatever it is unique about that car. I need to find it, but I don't have the license plate. If I have some character feature of that car, I can then find that across video feed, and maybe I then get my license plate hit to feed to law enforcement and be able to put that across. I don't need a license plate. All I need is some unique feature about that vehicle, and I can then find it across vast stores of data quickly, deterministically, and accurately. So we're out in San Jose right now, meeting with another tech company, but we came by campus yesterday to do something that might matter more to you guys. So we did again. We took pictures of me stationary, chopped me out, and said, let's see where that exists in the data. We went around campus and used your video camera locations to take video of me walking around to see, would it work? And so you take looking for this, that guy, and I put my hood on so you wouldn't see my face very often, but I'm able to be picked up across multiple places in campus until you find one that matters and catches my face. Or what if all you got is a backpack? That instance in New York in the recent past, where a healthcare CEO was assassinated by an individual, the only thing they had available to try and find that person was a backpack. The only identifying factor about him was he was wearing a backpack. And we can say, if you got that, you can find the dude with the backpack. Or to make it easier, throw every instance you have everywhere you've seen that person and make it one instance. So I have every angle of me that you can find on camera and feed that to the algorithm and say, show me everywhere that complex picture shows up, any part of that pattern. And it's going to show me across all the camera footage that we've got loaded where any instance of me shows up, to give me the ability to start my search from a better spot. This works if you're going through and digesting somebody's social media feed, if you're looking through a missing person report, feed it to your camera system and let's see where they show up. All of these different places, that instance shows up across your feed. I have good news. This is available now, and it's soon to be available integrated into ISS for live capture as well. I just got the report from their lead engineer today, about 40 minutes ago, saying that they are fingernail close to finishing the integration. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we're on it.
All right. I actually have 2 minutes left on my time. So do any of you have questions? I don't want to demo you to death.
We're going to do the questions at the end, Jeff. So I think take the 2 minutes here to kind of explain how these all connect to each other. Bond, now you have the capability of additional images like this coming in. Hey, this guy scared me. I had a conversation with Bond, and yes, please share it with law enforcement. I thought he was going to do something. And this information can be shared out. And now you might not have captured these images from the CCTV or the cameras placed around the campus, but now you have that force multiplier and that data set and the history that can bring these types of needs in a proactive way. Right now, typically video surveillance is just documenting loss and injury, and it's not used the way it can really be used, especially when you have manpower issues. And the old school way of random patrols and hoping your folks are in the right place at the right time, it doesn't have to be that way anymore. If you can layer these types of systems where Bond, and a panic button, I know Duran talked about that, it has to exist within a certain confined structure. They have repeaters and units that collect the information. When someone presses a button, they say it's an emergency, but everyone has a cell phone with them. And his service operates outside of the campus as well as on site with the campus. And bad actors that come into and out of your school don't necessarily live on the school. They might live nearby or in some other area or across the bay or in some other city and travel in to conduct whatever activity they want to do that's unwanted. Now you have more data and you can successfully have accurate information. What's really unique about Deja Vu is, let's say you have a threat and you have some photographs and some pictures on campus, but you don't know which campus it was or where it was. You can identify, and that's what Jeff is showing you with your data set. And that data set, keep in mind, it's yours. You create it, you curate it using your own data. And that's the power of it. It's not some open source. It's not somebody else's data set. It's something that you can actually use and create yourself. As well as their data set can be scrubbed, but still searchable. So from a standpoint of keeping things secret, if you have an active case you don't want to divulge images to, it can still be a searchable data set to find other links in other jurisdictions that would have data that's relevant to your investigation. I think I've taken the last 2 minutes there, Jeff. I apologize.
That's all right.
All right.
One last impossibility that I didn't show you yet is tattoos. Being able to match a tattoo that changes shape, form, angle, and warps. We can take a tattoo as a pattern and then match it, which is one of the main descriptors of a person uniquely described by victims that law enforcement has a really hard time being able to do, because their data set of tattoos from, say, the prison bureau is 280,000 deep, for instance, in Los Angeles. And a human being trying to go through and find that is dang near impossible.
I'm going to kick off the Breakcourt drone presentation now to preserve time, because we're getting really close to 7. So I'm going to make it really short. I know there's probably a small audience that wants to look at this. Just as a matter of fact, Breakcourt wanted to be here. They got delayed. They're stuck in an airplane and they can't join. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration with theirs. So their drone solution is unique. It doesn't require GPS, but it can also function with GPS. So it can fly indoors and outdoors. And it has the capability to have LiDAR and some other technologies that will allow it to see through smoke, dust, and things like that. When they first came to me, they were a very small drone, and their purpose was to be able to delay, disorient, and distract an active assailant during an event. And it is not a weaponized drone. It can disable weapons and render them non-operable. But beyond that, let's say you have an earthquake or a fire, or there's some event where you lose power, or you're at a facility potentially that is not your structure that you have access to the cameras. This can be your eyes, because it's autonomous. With LiDAR, it doesn't need a pilot to fly through an area and map it. So an example would be the fire department going into a building and needing to scroll through the hallways and the dorm rooms to figure out, is there anybody in there that we need to get to? And they can do that very quickly with something like the spray court drone. If it's an active event that they need to get involved in, it could be the forward element for their response team as they're leading them down to see in front of them what's there, what's happening, and give that real-time intelligence back to them. Of course, it has that ability to disable the firearm if that is a need, but that is not the only thing it can do. So I'm just going to show you a quick video here that kind of just highlights some of the things that it will do. And I apologize for that noise. Can you guys see that, or am I sharing the wrong screen?
Nothing came up off the file that you were pressing on.
Gotcha. Hold on. I'm having issues with my monitor. No, that's just us. Come on. Now you can see that, correct?
Nothing's
Okay.
happened.
We just see your pretty face.
That's it?
That's
You're
it.
Yep.
kidding me. All right. Well, I'm glad you said it was a pretty face, because if it was worse than that, that'd be bad.
You're
All
not
right.
sharing anything right now. So
Nope. No,
Yep.
I'm having issues with my screen. So let me try and do this one more time. And then I am going to, how about now?
Yep, it's starting up. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep, we see it.
So I've got the sound off. This is a standard docking station from autonomy. It can be deployed into an area where you don't have personnel, or you need to search out a particular area. And this is an autonomous flight, sped up a little bit. And what they did here is deploy it, and it's on the lookout for somebody, in this case, with a firearm, because it has its own analytics on. And then this is the tracking that it can do from the forward element standpoint, as people are going into a building where there might be somebody with a particular weapon. It uses object detection as well as machine learning to track and follow. Now, it does not need to engage. This is one of their larger models. They're about the size of the palm of my hand. And they operate in a single unit or in a swarm configuration. But you can see how it's paying attention only to the firearm. Now, this is just another demonstration of what it looks like when it coming into the room and watching and identifying the objects they have trained. And then for another capability, I don't think it shows it in this video. Yep. It has the ability without any flight controls to operate as a throw drone. So in a foot pursuit or in an active situation in an outdoor area, it can be easily, quickly deployed, and is very agile and can offer optics and the ability to give real-time intelligence that can be fed back to first responders, security forces, whatever they need in an area where they don't have cameras or where they need additional technology to kind of be able to operate with minimum staffing. I made that really short because I know we're right at 7 o'clock and we had some questions potentially. So I want to open up for the folks that might have some questions. And then after that, I'll go to any questions that are in chat. I see one. Does anyone want more information or have questions? If it's getting late and you need to go, believe Steve, they can get my contact information through you, and I'll be more than happy to sit down and talk with them and connect them to the right partner so they can have in-depth conversation if they need more to kind of understand.
Yeah, that's absolutely, they can contact us, we'll forward the information. You know,
Okay.
I just took some notes, you know, I've come to mind the ISS for people crossing the road Piedmont near the stadium strikes me as an area every time I drive around there that could use something similar to that. And obviously on the south side, and you know, even on Hearst on the north side. And looking at Deja Vu, I have a question of, does this use existing camera systems? And is there types of cameras that are needed based upon the existing cameras? You know, I won't mention how many cameras that they have at UC Berkeley, but they have a lot. And I think they're all of different models and different years of installation. How does that play into what Deja Vu ISS does?
Yeah, we noticed different brands and vintages as we walked around, different orientations, some PTZ, some stationary, different angles. And the Deja Vu algorithm doesn't care. It doesn't even know. All it knows is if it can be seen on a computer screen, there's a pattern in it, and it's going to try to find whatever pattern you tell it to find in whatever data you point it at. So if you take all of your camera data, literally every single camera, and load that into a data set, I can search all of it. And every time it searches, so every time that you saw me ask it to find something, it looks through the entire data set. So whatever you got, and it could be between EO and IR. So it can be night vision or daytime camera. You could have a hyperspectral or a thermal, it doesn't matter.
And the data set is built by whatever your cameras are taking in. Or it can be fed into the system as well.
Correct. Both
Yes.
of those are true.
And looking at Brecor, the drones, that also comes with like FLIR, forward-looking,
Yeah.
infrared.
And they can manufacture the drone in any configuration that's necessary for the use case. So when it comes down to if it's law enforcement or if it's private security or the fire department, they have different needs. They'll just reconfigure that design to match the use they need to use it for.
Yeah, they did have an incident of near Clark Kerr and a track, and they had a shooter, and that would have been really nice. And I understand Lieutenant might expound on it, but I think that the university is looking into drones as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see more on that drones, we did a live demo at Las Vegas Metro's Joint Training Center, and we've got out with the school district here project this summer with them and with one of the casinos as well. So if you want to travel here to see some of those things, or I can have another discussion and show you the action, how it disables a weapon, how it's not weaponized. And its functionality, especially from autonomy, you don't have to have a 3 or 4 man team flying a drone.
Sounds good. So we'll go through the questions I have here. For Bon, how is this any different than calling your parents or a friend utilizing the system?
Great. So you can call your friends, and if they're on video, that has deterrent value. So that is valuable. The difference is if you're going to have somebody handle your teeth, who do you want to do that? Your friends or a professional? So what we offer is a 4 to 5 second response time. Our people are in a command center. They know how to deter. Not everybody can deter. Not everybody passes our tests. And in addition, if you think about the service, we don't just offer the bottom line. We just get back to the presentation. We don't just offer the bottom line. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Which is the video monitor me, but basically 99% of cases, people want to be looked after. Can you see my screen here?
Yes.
So for instance, one of our members can want to be on ready an agent. That means that now there's no human on human interaction. They're just our security agents looking at the situation. So if you look at my screen for a moment, let's assume that I am a student and I'm just walking alone at night. I don't want video monitor me. I click the ready an agent. This arms the service. Now all I need to do is put my finger on the screen. Now a Bon agent sees who I am. I'm a UC Berkeley student. My name is Dana, and he knows exactly where I am. So long as my finger on the screen, there's no engagement by the security agent because all that I want is Dana is to be looked after. But if I'm concerned about something, I release the screen, it starts a countdown. At that point in time, if I got home, all I need to do is enter my personal passcode, stops the service, Bond knows that I got home, or I met Jeff, or I'm in my car. But if I feel unsafe, even if somebody grabs me, all I need to do is release the screen. At that point in time, nobody enters the code, and the Bond agent will come in on video on my screen, not too far away from you where you are. A couple of months ago, one of our members is walking home from work. She's already an agent. She releases, doesn't enter her passcode. Agent gets engaged, sees that she's in a park in Stockton, California, comes in on video per our protocol. Sees the sky. Apparently, the phone is on the ground facing the sky. Next to the phone, there's a dark object on the ground. Uncomfortable moment in our command center. Agent double clicks the profile of the woman. Turns out that she's epileptic. Click of the button connects them to the local 911. They know who we are. We speak their language. We tell them that we have a woman down. They immediately take action. The whole time of qualifying is not necessary because we are all certified on 911 APCO. They immediately send the medics. Remember, they don't know that the woman exists. They don't know where she is. They don't know she's in emergency. We guide them to the park. They find her. She's okay. Let's assume that this woman would have lost consciousness and a friend of hers knows where she is, but doesn't know that she's dropped. Now he calls 911. Did you know that there's 6,000 911 centers in the United States? They're called PSAPs, Public Safety Answering Point. So if somebody is in Piedmont and somebody else is in Berkeley, say the parent is in Piedmont or the friend is in Piedmont, then my friend in Berkeley, my student friend or daughter or son dropped the line. I dial 911, I'm going to get the Piedmont 911. Good luck convincing Piedmont 911 that there's an emergency. We have no proof of an emergency. We're a civilian having listened to something on the phone. Whereas when Bone contacts, it contacts the local PSAP. We're a professional entity. We've handled 10,000 emergencies. They've been wonderful. They have been the PSAPs. So we can take action. So I'm addressing this in two ways. Number one, there's a variety of services that are available beyond getting an agent on video. I described video monitor me right here. I talked about ready an agent. There's track me on the go. Track me on the go. Let me give you an example. El Al is one of our customers. They're a little concerned today about anti-Israel sentiments. So all of their flight crews have bond. One of their flight attendants is in New York last week. She enters an Uber. She also activates ready an agent. Activates track me on the go. All she needs to do is enter her destination and tell us if she's walking, driving, ride sharing, or in a train. Within a minute, a bond agent reaches out to her on video, says, keep me on video, tell the driver that you're not headed in the right direction. Her last name is Cohen, clearly Jewish. She tells the driver says, oops, mistake, turns around. We will never know whether that was an honest mistake or whether there was beginning of an economic crime, hate crime, crime of passion, etc. The whole point is this is not my friend looking after me. And as a human has no way of detecting, not at scale, not if we're taking care right now of 100,000 people on track me on the go. The system, the AI detects that there's a deviation from the norm, immediately engages an agent. We check, we can connect to 911. So one answer to the question is there's a plethora of services. There are 14 services. I just demonstrated some of them. Secondly, the people who take care of us are professionals who know how to connect with the police, know how to deter. This is what they've been trained to do. And when we call 911 PSAP, they know that they're dealing with professionals and they've taken great care of our members. Did I address the question?
Yes, and one final one. There's another question that kind of ties into this. Can this contact be done with voice activation to bond?
Could you repeat the question? I apologize.
Can it be voice activated asking for help?
So we've tested a lot of options to activate, and I'll answer in a metaphor. If somebody's jumping off a plane right now, the question is, what do we want to have open the parachute? Do we want it to be voice activated? The problem with voice activation is that the phone can be in somebody's pocket, there could be significant ambient noise, and then the system is not going to hear anything. So yes, if the conditions are very easy, then Siri or Alexa can pick up things. But we have not gotten to a point where we trust AI to do that. So we want a person to, and that's the power of preventative security. You no longer need to be the one that activates us in an emergency. That's why panic buttons fail. What you do is you request us to look after you, and then we will detect and we will engage. So to your narrow question, yes, it can be voice activated, but we don't trust it because somebody's going to leave it in their bag. And then under pressure with noise of the restaurant where I'm being drugged, or an engine noise or something like that, I'm going to assume that I was able to activate with a voice, but I didn't, and that's a bad outcome. So we don't trust these technologies yet. We prefer that the member ask us to look after them. By the way, another very nice service is called Security Check right here. I'm stepping into a date with somebody, and what I do, or I'm going to a meeting, or I'm alone in the library, or any other situation, I click the security check, I ask Bond what I'm concerned about, and when I want Bond to check on me, I say, if I don't respond, reach out to Bruce, my manager, or Jeff, my friend, or the manager of the restaurant. So when people go to some bar, when there's a risk of being drugged, by the way, if you look at all the terrible cases that we have to read, a lot of the bad people wait for young women outside of the bars after they've had a drink. So by asking us to do a security check, we can likely detect that something is out of the ordinary. Wait, John or Joanne, we're not supposed to leave the bar right now. Why did they? We'll check on them. The minute that somebody is abducted, sorry for getting into those details, there are minutes to notify the police and to try to intercept whoever has picked up our friend or our student. We do all of that. Back to you, sir.
Thank you very much. There is another question here. I guess it's kind of related to everybody who's presented. What are some of the privacy related concerns that have come up, and how do you respond to those concerns?
Thank you. I'll take it relative to Bond. So it starts with a promise that all the employees of Walmart, Apple, Ralph Lauren want, and that is they don't want their employer, or sometimes they don't want anybody close to them, not the university, not the employer, not anybody else, to know that they're afraid, or to know that they're going on a date with somebody of the same gender that they are. So people do a lot of things that they're embarrassed by. They shouldn't be embarrassed. I shouldn't be embarrassed by the fact that I'm afraid to walk alone at night. So promising and providing privacy is very important. It starts with, of course, all the right technologies, but most importantly is the geometry of the service. Most of the people whom we serve don't want their employer or their university to be the ones looking after them. They're embarrassed. They prefer us, a third party that they establish a relationship with, but is not their friend. We don't live in Berkeley to look after them, and that's a promise. Nobody has access to the data. The data is encrypted in our systems. The only time that we share it is if we're handling a hot case, and now UC Berkeley police is handling the situation. We'll give them all the information. That's situation number one. Situation number two, a court of law asks for the information. So basically a combination of the economic structure of Bond. We're not public service. We're a private sector company. And we work for the individual irrespectively of who pays. And of course, a lot of technologies and processes around that. I hope that helps. If you'd like, I can explain something that we're doing with a drone, which is a first responder drone that can serve UC Berkeley and serve the community, but we didn't get to that. Back to you.
Let me take it for ISS, if
Go
you
ahead.
guys don't mind. With the AI, with the video analytics and video intelligence industry, right? I think the most prevalent security risk is obviously a lot of concerns that come up around facial recognition, right? We do that as well. One of the things that ISS does is we sell our products as standalone as much as possible, like the software you saw. That computer is a standalone unit. It can be connected, but it's designed so that when you post that soffit up onto the light pole, everything it sees is actually recorded there. It's really not looking and recording much at all. It's just, it'll take metadata so that you guys so we can actually provide that to our customers. There's a SIM card in there designed to just, to mitigate having to pass encrypted information over the wire. Our AI for facial recognition and such, we sell our our servers as perpetual for the most part. And so when you get a solution like that, it's yours. It's your data. What you collect is up to you and your institution or your company on how you want to use it. And it would follow your protocols as far as releasing that information or using it, right? So we're able to connect with police departments and so forth and get their databases, but we go through the legal, hurdles to actually get that, and work with them on that. We are fully encrypted, all the typical stuff. We work with a lot of the DoD right now. A lot of the U.S. Air Force bases have our products worldwide. We're in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We've met all those security requirements, and we continue to, update our protocols, obviously. But for the most part, we get away from that issue of hosting in the cloud and all that other stuff that some of our competitors do, but by providing you guys have the compute in your campus in this case, right? It's yours. That's as much as I can speak. That's how we get around that, right? FaceX, it's interesting. Some people, you either hate it, you love it, and you're either willing to use it to open doors, open access and gates and stuff like that, and track people. We find that, we can delete that. We can set it up so it'd be deleted after a while, but we usually work with our customers specifically to innovate on their security requirements. Okay.
And Steve,
any questions about that?
I'm not sure, Steve, with that question about the privacy concerns related to the containment of the data or actual use of the analytics.
Well, I mean,
it can be both.
Russ.
I mean,
yeah.
If we're talking about the privacy concerns related to the use of the analytics, it really depends on what the privacy standards are, where it's going to be used. And I mean, you've got GDPR in Europe, you've got California's, privacy laws, you've got things in Illinois, you've got different states, and then you even have some hyper local regulations that would limit or prohibit its use, and you have to use it in certain context. And so you have to make sure that where it's being used and how it's being used, it's used ethically and in line with those. So that's part of what we would do when we do our assessment anyway, is figure out what those rules are in that area, to even figure out if it's a viable tool for a particular client. And then if it's a viable tool, what are the steps we have to go through? Like here in Nevada, there has to be placards that identify that you're in a public area where facial recognition is being used. And there's a mechanism to identify and notify people that they're part of a facial recognition database and give them a mechanism to remove themselves from that facial recognition database. At the private side, it's different when you're dealing with law enforcement here in Nevada. As it would be at Berkeley, there would be different parameters with how it would be used, where it would be used. And that's all taken into consideration when you're talking about something that's perceived as intrusive as facial recognition, because it stores that database. Deja Vu doesn't have that problem because it doesn't create a database of biometrics of the person. It just looks at patterns. And uniquely with Deja Vu, it doesn't care about gender or skin color. So when it's looking at an image, facial recognition can have problems due to contrast depending on the tones of the people that are being recorded. But Deja Vu doesn't have that problem. So
we call it biased and deterministic.
There you go.
Because it's not a model that was trained, it's an algorithm that sees patterns.
Yep. So I think I think we answered that question on both tiers. Hopefully, if there's some follow-up, someone wants to let us know.
Right. Basically it can be tailored to the client's needs.
We tailor it all the time, Steve.
Everything with these analytics needs to be tailored to the client, to their specific use requirements. Yeah, they can have facial rec, that's fantastic, but if they have no capacity to digest it, manage it, curate it, and then respond to it when certain things come up, then it's really a useless tool. And that's part of why these partners work so good. We work so good together, is we help identify really what you need, how we would place it in there in a cost-effective way, and then give you that right operational guidance so you're on the same page. I think there's one more question there, Steve, and we're probably done because we're running late.
Can you point it out? I thought I hit them all.
See, something it's related to you, Doron. Let me see.
How will it
It's
reduce?
a, it's a long one.
Well, that's the hands-free one.
Okay,
We
that's
talked
hands-free one.
about that.
Gotcha. All right.
My thing is, would you, all of you, asking the question, have a proof of concept if the university would say, you know what, can you show us how this works real time?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So let me speak about that for a second. So we innovate. And when we say we innovate for ISS, right, we have at any time 10 POCs, proof of concepts going on with customers, industry, leading companies, and so forth. And what we've even done, and something, for example, you guys have mentioned, well, I've received some data from you guys that one of your pain points right now is just the theft of scooters and so forth, right? And those dangerous areas, and people are actually cutting the chains and breaking the locks and so forth. With a combination of certain analytics, right, we can actually train our model to actually look for that. So as soon as that's pulled out, it'll detect if the camera's in that view. The other thing about soffit also is you can always point the soffit at an area where all those bikes are parked. And if someone walks into a zone where those bikes are, if it's the owner, it's not a problem to be lit. If it's not an owner, it's more of a deterrent at that point, right? And then also the analytics can be overlaid on top of that, and we can actually do a proof of concept with you guys to show that we can detect when someone is going to go in there and be nefarious with some of these, activities around these scooters, right? Yeah, absolutely. POCs are what we actually do a lot of those for
And
ISS.
Duran, I can provide that QR code that gives people access to try out the app as well.
My
to the group.
suggestion is that we do it in a formal, planned out manner, the way that we run pilots. The answer is, first of all, yes to the original question. The way to do it is to meet with a project manager, to do it seriously, determine which are the eligibility groups, teachers, student, faculty members, etc. Let's reach out to the leaders, get them to invite volunteers. Not everybody wants to be part of a pilot, especially the people who have experienced something bad. They don't want to relive it. So there's a method to inviting people, because eventually everybody wants a security companion, especially if the university pays. And I haven't met a parent who doesn't want their kids to have a security companion on their phone. So the key to running a proper pilot or a proof of concept is to invite the right people who want to be part of the pilot, not people who are appointed, and then to inform them about the problem that they don't understand, and then the unique bond solution, and then to ask them to try the services and to run a survey. So we've been running a pilot for 5.5 years. We're happy to do that with the UC Berkeley, but we'd like that to be programmatic.
Very good.
All right,
And
thank you very
we'll
much.
also get a proof of concept with you, and I'm in town tomorrow. So if somebody at the security office wants me to come by, I can come by, show them how it works. We can even work on some of the data that they have and show them how it works, test it out.
That sounds good. Usually, I find that the university is more not slow, but takes things in a step-by-step pace and
Deliberate fashion.
things. So what we're, obviously what we're trying to do is provide different mechanisms to improve security overall. And that's, I'm happy that you guys agreed to be here and do a presentation. And we'll know more. Russ has been on. I'm not sure the lieutenant from UCPD stayed on beyond the 7 o'clock, but Russ is here and he's a senior project manager for the university and our liaison, and we'll have more conversations as we go forward for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for getting this group together, Steve. I appreciate it.
Russ, are you still listening, available to talk?
Yes, I am here. And thank you all for a great presentation, really informative. And I'd be happy to talk. I'm certainly not a decision maker in this area, but it's worked very closely with Steve and the rest of the SafeBears team, and would be happy to do whatever I need to connect Steve and the rest to whomever if they want to follow up and discuss these and more. I can tell you from being at Berkeley, I think Steve could probably attest, and the others, things like license plate recognition. I mean, even that's a a touchy topic. So that's my question was around the privacy, and it really was around that, understanding the sensitivities that the campus and really the community at large has with things like facial recognition and whatnot.
Yeah, and if you have that problem, then we can discuss whether or not LPR makes sense, or using Deja Vu that doesn't have that database. I think you need less than 1% of a source image to match to the actual image using Deja Vu, but you don't have a curated database of license plate numbers.
Right.
So
yeah, it's fascinating.
Joel, what is our action item? Should I just leave things in your hand? You let me know if anybody needs more information. We, of course, are at your service to do longer presentations, etc.
yeah, I think I'm going to operate just right now as a point of contact. As things come in, then I'll drive the questions or the need to the specific partner that needs to respond.
Okay, terrific.
All right, thank you very much.
I wish all of you enjoy your dinner. Here it's 10:25 in the East Coast, so I'm closer to bed than all of you. So
Yeah.
that's my
I'm on the
advantage.
East Coast too. I'm on
Yeah.
the East Coast too, so it's all good.
All right,
And thank you for everybody who's volunteering to help everybody in California and beyond. Pleasure.